Have you ever wondered how to automate tasks in MS Excel? It's easier than you might think. Welcome to the world of Excel automation, a feature that empowers you to perform repetitive tasks with a click of a button. This not only saves you a ton of time, but it also enhances your efficiency and eliminates the chances of human error. Imagine you have to deal with a huge data set and perform the same operations over and over again. Sounds tedious, right? But with Excel automation, you can set up a command sequence once and let Excel do the rest. This means you get to focus on more important things, like data analysis and interpretation, rather than getting bogged down with repetitive tasks. Excel automation's like having your own personal assistant who never tires, never makes mistakes, and works at lightning speed. By the end of this video, you'll have a basic understanding of how to automate tasks in MS Excel. To start automating tasks in MS Excel, we first need to understand what macros are. Imagine you're a painter, and every day you have to mix the same colors in the same proportions to create the perfect shade of blue. Now, wouldn't it be easier if you could just press a button and have those colors mixed automatically? That's what macros do in the world of MS Excel. Macros are essentially a set of instructions that you provide to Excel, telling it to perform specific tasks in a particular order. These tasks could be as simple as formatting a cell, or as complex as creating a multi-page report. You record these tasks once, and then you can run them as many times as you want. It's like having a little robot assistant who knows exactly what to do and when to do it. Now, how does this help with automation in MS Excel? Well, think about the tasks you perform repeatedly. Maybe you're constantly formatting cells, creating pivot tables, or running calculations. These tasks take time, and when you have to do them over and over, they can become quite tedious. That's where macros come in. You can record these tasks once and then have Excel perform them automatically. It's like creating a recipe that Excel can follow, freeing up your time for more important tasks. The benefits of using macros are manifold. First and foremost, they save time. By automating repetitive tasks, you can focus on more complex problems that require your attention. Secondly, they reduce errors. When tasks are automated, there's less chance of human error creeping in. And finally, they increase efficiency. With less time spent on mundane tasks, you can get more done in a day. So, to sum up, macros are a powerful tool in MS Excel that allow you to automate tasks, save time, reduce errors, and increase efficiency. They're like a secret weapon that can help you become a more effective and productive Excel user. Now that we understand what macros are, we can start to explore how to create them. Creating a macro isn't as daunting as it may seem. Let's dive into the process. It's a journey that begins with accessing the Developer tab. Now, if you're wondering where this tab is, you might not see it right away. That's because it's not typically displayed by default in Excel, but don't worry, it's easy to enable. To do this, you'll need to venture into Excel's Backstage view. Simply click the File tab on the ribbon, then choose Options. This opens a window where you'll select Customize ribbon, and there it is, the Developer checkbox. Tick that box and you've successfully enabled the Developer tab. Now that we have access to the Developer tab, we're ready to start recording our macro. Hit the Record Macro button and a new window will pop up. This is where things start getting interesting. Here, you'll name your macro. Choose a name that's descriptive and easy to remember. No spaces are allowed in the macro name, and it can't be the same as a cell reference. For instance, you can't name it A1, because Excel will get confused. Next, you'll see the Shortcut key option. This is where you can assign a keyboard shortcut to your macro, making it super easy to run. Just remember to be careful not to overwrite existing Excel shortcuts. You'll also decide where to store your macro. You can choose This Workbook, New Workbook, or Personal Macro Workbook. The choice depends on where you want your macro to be available. The final step is to describe your macro. Although this is optional, it's a good practice to get into. It helps you remember what the macro does, especially if you're creating a lot of them. Once you've filled in all the details, click OK and Excel will start recording everything you do. When you're finished with your tasks, hit the Stop Recording button under the Developer tab. And just like that, you've created your first macro. Now that we've created a macro, let's see it in action. Running a macro is like playing a recorded sequence of commands. This is where the magic happens, where those repetitive tasks get done in a jiffy, freeing up your time and reducing the risk of errors. So how do we run a macro? There are several ways to do this, and today we'll look at two of the most common methods, using shortcut keys and the macro dialog box. Firstly, let's talk about shortcut keys. When we created the macro, we had the option to assign a shortcut key to it. If you did that, running the macro is as easy as pressing that key combination. Now, isn't that a breeze? You hit the keys and boom, your task is done. It's like having a personal assistant at your fingertips. But what if you didn't assign a shortcut key, or you can't remember what it is? No worries, we've got you covered. You can run your macro using the macro dialog box. Here's how. First, you click on the Developer tab. If you don't see it in your Excel toolbar, don't panic. You can easily add it by right-clicking on the toolbar, selecting Customize the ribbon, and then checking the Developer box. Once you're in the Developer tab, click on Macros. This opens the macro dialog box, which lists all the macros available in your workbook. You simply select the macro you want to run and click Run. And there you go, your macro is hard at work doing all those tedious tasks for you. Remember, macros are there to make your life easier. They're your little helpers, ready to jump into action at a moment's notice. So don't be afraid to use them. The more you do, the more comfortable you'll get, and the more you'll appreciate their power and convenience. Running a macro is as simple as that. Sometimes you may need to modify your macro, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this segment. Editing a macro is not as daunting as it might sound. It's all about understanding the tools at your disposal and how to use them efficiently. One such tool is the Visual Basic for Applications Editor, also known as the VBA editor. This is where you can view and edit the code of your macro. To open the VBA editor, you simply need to press the Alt and F11 keys together. This will open a new window where you'll see a list of all the macros you have in your workbook. You can expand this list by clicking on the plus light symbol next to Modules. Once you have located the macro you want to edit, you just need to double-click on it. This will open a new window where you can see the code of your macro. Here, you can make any changes you need. Remember, every action in your macro corresponds to a line of code. So if you want to change an action, you need to change the corresponding line of code. Now, let's say you want to add a new action to your macro. To do this, you first need to understand the syntax of the code. This might seem complicated at first, but with a bit of practice, you'll get the hang of it. Once you understand the syntax, you can write a new line of code for your new action. After making your changes, don't forget to save your macro. To do this, you just need to click on the File menu and select Save. This will ensure that your changes are saved and your macro is updated. Editing a macro gives you the flexibility to customize it according to your needs. It allows you to add new actions, modify existing ones, or even delete actions that are no longer needed. It's all about making your macro work for you. With the ability to edit macros, you can ensure they always meet your needs. And with that, we wrap up our discussion on editing a macro. Remember, practice makes perfect, so don't hesitate to experiment with your macros and make them as efficient as possible. Automation in MS Excel is a powerful tool. This journey has taken us through the world of macros, their creation, execution, and editing. We've seen how these simple yet powerful tools can transform a mundane task into an automated process, working like your personal digital assistant right within MS Excel. Each macro we create is a step towards efficiency, eliminating repetitive tasks and saving precious time. Automation is not just about speed, but also about accuracy. By automating tasks, we reduce the chances of human error, ensuring a higher degree of accuracy in our work. Whether it's a complex financial model for work or a simple grade sheet for school, automation can make your life easier. Moreover, the beauty of MS Excel automation lies in its simplicity. The tools are right there within your grasp, waiting to be explored and utilized. So let's take this newfound knowledge and start automating. With the knowledge you've gained today, you're well on your way to mastering automation in MS Excel.